A very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome once again to the 25th anniversary celebrations of the Gnostic Centre. Today, we are having Vedic mantras and chanting with explanation for the growth of consciousness and the mystic fire by Dr. Sampadananda Mishra. He has been closely associated with the centre, I think, for the last 15 years, and we've gained and learned a lot from him. But a brief introduction of him. He is now a professor at the Rashtam School of Public Leadership, Rishiwood University, Sonipat. Dr. Mishra has founded and launched the first ever 24-hour Sanskrit radio called Divyavani Sanskrit Radio, and is single-handedly managing the entire content since its inception in 2013. Dr. Mishra is a recipient of several awards, including the President's Award, the Maharishi Badar Vyas Samman 2011 for his outstanding contribution to Sanskrit. He's a senior fellow. He's got the Senior Fellowship Award, Ministry of Culture 2014, for research on the Vedic art of multiple concentration. So he's really an institution, and we all will learn a lot, and to have him with us. So Dr. Mishra, please.
Thank you. Namaskar to all of you. So to understand the growth of consciousness and then link it with the Vedic mantras, so one needs to understand the Vedic cosmology. In the Upanishad, it is said that after creating the human being, the creator felt happy. So he said, Sukritam, Vava Sukritam. Well done. Yes, really well done.
But it's not so audible.
Not audible? Little louder. Okay. It's not for mic. Okay. I'll speak little louder. Is that okay? Okay. So after creating the human being, the creator felt happy and then expressed Sukritam, Vava Sukritam. Like we say, wow, well done. So that's what is the expression in Aitareya Upanishad. And when we look at the Vedic cosmology, so the entire creation, and we say that whatever is there in the Pinda, that is there in the Brahmanda. It is the same principles by which the universe is made and the human consciousness is made. So it is divided into two parts. One is the higher half, and there is the lower half. The higher half is called Parardha, and the lower half is called Aparardha. So the Parardha, to become Aparardha, at the level of Parardha, the higher half, what prevails is the unity of consciousness. When it becomes the Aparardha, that unity of consciousness, it becomes gross, it becomes lost. So at the grossmost level, that unity is not found. What is here at the Aparardha level is all division of consciousness, duality, binaries, division. And at the Aparardha level, we have the Anna, Prana and Manas, the physical, vital and mental. At the Parardha, we have the Sat, Chit, Ananda. Then there is a link world which links the Aparardha with the Parardha, because it has the knowledge of Parardha and it also has the knowledge of Aparardha. And that world is Vijnanamaya Jagat, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and in Sri Aurobindo's parlance, it is the supermind, which knows what is above, what is below, and has the power to link. Then human consciousness, as per the tradition, when we look at the Vedic Vedantic tradition, the entire consciousness, like the first thing we should know that there is nothing in this creation which is devoid of consciousness. So the tradition says achaitanyam na vidyate. There is nothing which is devoid of consciousness. But that consciousness It is there in 5 different forms. With all the inanimate things, it is the Sankuchita Chetana. So in all inanimate things, it is there in the form of Sankocha, shrunken consciousness, Sankuchita Chetana. There is no possibility of evolution. With all the animal kingdom, plant kingdom, it is there in the form of Achhadita Chetana, or the covered consciousness. Still, there is no possibility of evolution, yet Sri Aurobindo and the mother have spoken that there are certain animals, certain plants where there is a possibility of evolution. It is seen, but it's not a part of that Achhadita Chetana. Then you have 3 levels of consciousness as per the Hindu tradition, Sanatana tradition: Mukulita, Vikasita and Purna Vikasita. Human consciousness belongs to these 3. Mukulita Chetana means budding consciousness, like a flower, the bud. So it has all possibilities of blooming fully. So this budding consciousness can become Vikasita Chetana, and from Vikasita to Purna Vikasita Chetana. So all the systems of yoga, so it is, the processes are given in such a manner that this Mukulita, to facilitate this Mukulita Chetana to become the Purna Vikasita Chetana, and this whole process of the unity of consciousness becoming this divided consciousness, and then again from here to attain to that unity of consciousness, this whole process, whole cycle was called the yajna. And this is the whole process of involution and evolution. So the supreme reality, the unity of consciousness becoming this aparardha, becoming this multiplicity, is the process of involution, because it fragments itself. That's what one finds in the Purusha Shukta, where it is said that the Purusha has fragmented itself to become this multiplicity. And then this multiplicity, this divided consciousness, this, where the unity is completely lost, to regain that unity is called the evolution, this evolutionary process. And in this evolutionary journey, in order to gain that unity of consciousness, so who facilitates this journey? Who leads this journey? What the Vedic seers and sages have found, it is the Agni. So Agni, therefore, right in the beginning, in the first mantra itself in the Rig Veda, so when it says Agni Mile Purohitam Yajñasya Devam Ritvijam Hotaram Ratnadhatamam, so there Agni, one of the epithets of Agni is Purohita. Purohita is usually translated as priest, but as per when we go deep into Sri Aurobindo's interpretation, when someone, she was asking me which interpretation to read. So the only solution to understand the Veda, Upanishad, the Gita is Sri Aurobindo. There are great commentaries, there is no doubt about it. There are many people who have commented upon it, but the depth with which Sri Aurobindo has brought out the real force of the mantras. So what is behind, what force is behind the mantra is not to be found anywhere, or rare to be found. So Purohita is not a priest, but when we concentrate on the etymology of the word, Pura means in front, Hita means placed. Though we use the word Hita in the sense of good, like Sarva Bhuta Hite, Hitarata, okay. Hita means good. That good is when one is settled within oneself, then it is called good. So if that settling within oneself is not there, then it is ahita. That means one is not settled, one is not seated within oneself. That itself is called swastha. So this is where when you turn to Ayurveda, turn to the Upanishads, turn to the Veda, you will find what is the definition of swasthata. The very word swastha itself, swasmin tishtati. When one is well settled within oneself, when one is deviating from oneself, fallen from one's own state of consciousness, one is aswastha. That means he is unaware also, not seated within. So he needs chikitsa. Chikitsa means an intense aspiration to increase the awareness. That's the literal meaning of chikitsa. So this Agni, who is the Purohita, who is the leader, who stands in front to lead. And Sri Aurobindo says this Agni is the Divya Sankalpa Shakti, the divine willpower. So for the growth of consciousness, for the evolution of consciousness, so the invocation has to be the invocation of Agni. So that is why in the Veda, maximum number of mantras are dedicated to Agni, where Agni is known as Ritvija because he is the knower of truth. Agni also is known as Jata Vedas. So Jata Vedas means Jate Jate Vidyate. So there is no layer of existence where Agni is not present. Because Agni is present everywhere, so he knows everything. So that is the mantra with which we will end, where not here, I have not yet written, so I will write it. So it is the last mantra of Ishopanishad, where it says Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan, that it is that Agni who knows everything that has manifest here. So that is what is the clear explanation of the word Jata Vedas. So Jate Jate Vidyate, one who exists in every state of existence, and Jatam Jatam Vetti, that one who knows anything which has manifest, is Agni. So in our evolutionary journey, and Agni is also at the center of the heart, like an unflickering flame, smokeless, Jyotiriva Adhumaka. So that divine presence is seen, Angushta Matra Purusha, not bigger than the size of a thumb. Jyotiriva Adhumaka, the smokeless flame burning eternally at the center of the heart, to be meditated upon. So this is how we begin our journey, by invoking Agni for the growth of consciousness, for the evolution of consciousness, to help us in our evolutionary journey. Without that Sankalpa Shakti, without the willpower, no progress can happen. And where should it lead? It should lead towards that state where the unity of consciousness prevails, that ekatva and samatva. So that is what is the ultimate aim of the rishis, that to attain to that state of ekatva and samatva, the oneness and equanimity. And that state is also known as Satyam, Ritam and Brihat. These are the three markers again: the truth static, the truth dynamic, and the Brihat, vast. As per our Vedic system of yoga, the Adhyatmic tradition, when science believes that there is something like final, there is finality, but it is because of the limitation of the mind, the science is unable to reach that finality. But here the Adhyatmic tradition believes that there is no finality. So it believes in, like, we have a beautiful mantra in the Rig Veda which says Yat Sano Sanu Maruhat. So one attains to peaks after peaks, peaks after peaks. When one arrives at one peak, and that one peak is one state of perfection, and another state of perfection is visible, another peak is visible. And then one arrives there, then another peak is visible. So Sanu Sanum. So our whole evolutionary journey is from one perfection to the other perfection. So, and the journey continues. There is no finality. That's why it's called the Brihat, the Ananta, endless, Adi Madhyanta Rahita. There is no beginning, no end, no middle. And that state is also known as our own home. So Gharvapsi has a very different connotation in the Veda. So to returning to one's own home, what is that own home? Like in the Veda itself, right, in the first hymn of Rig Veda, it says Vardhamanam Svedame, growing in one's own home. That own home, and Swam Damam is a very powerful expression in the Veda. And this is where our ultimate journey, Vapas Ghar ko jana hai. So this Swam Damam is the world of Satyam, Ritam and Brihat. The attainment of this one's own home is the ultimate aim of our Adhyatmic tradition, our Adhyatmic journey. So with these words, so we will do 3 mantras. The first 2 mantras are from Yajurveda, and the last mantra that we will be doing also from Yajurveda. So we will do these 3 mantras invoking Agni, who is the Purohita, the leader in our evolutionary journey. The first mantra here is Agne Vratapate. Agni indeed is the first god to be invoked, to be placed right in front. The prime aspiration should be on Agni and for Agni, because Agni itself is the flame of aspiration, and he is the Vratapati. He is the master of all Vrata, all vows. He says, Agni, O Vratapati, O master of all Vratas, Vratam Charishyami. This is what is my sankalpa, that I will follow the Vrata, Vratam Charishyami. But can I do it on my own without the help of that supreme grace? No, it's not possible. Then the second line says, Tachakeyam. May I be able to do that. Tanme Radhyatam. So bless me with that power. Bless me with that strength. So then I will be able to follow the Vrata, do the Vrata. Agne Vratapate Vratam Charishyami Tachakeyam Tanme Radhyatam. And what is my Vrata? And what should be our Vrata? This is where again we see the mantras, the Vedic seers and sages have given us the principles of living the purposeful life. So they make us aware of what should be the true purpose of life. That's what is the last line. What is the Vrata? What is the supreme Vrata? What is the supreme purpose of life? Idamaham anrutat satyam upaimi. This world, this aparardha is full of anruta, asatya, falsehood, darkness. The fight is always between, there is a constant battle going on between the forces of darkness and light. And here the darkness prevails, division prevails. So from this anruta, idamaham anrutat satyam upaimi. So may I be led to the satya, to the world of truth, where unity prevails, where happiness, harmony, peace, where prosperity, the true prosperity, vasu, rai, where the real felicity, the rapture, the supreme bliss is there. So lead me to that. This is what is my vrata. This is what is my sankalpa. And may I be able to do that. So this is what is the intent of the mantra. So you can repeat. We will learn this mantra and chant together. Agne Vratapate Vratam Charishyami Tachakeyam Tanme Radhyatam Idamaham Anrutat Satyamupaimi. Idamaham Anrutat Satyamupaimi. Once again, Agne Vratapate Vratam Charishyami Tachakeyam Tanme Radhyatam Idamaham Anrutat Satyamupaimi. Every mantra, when we chant, it has to begin with Om and end with Om. Om is the supreme sound, and Om is the essence of all sounds. There are many definitions of Om. People have written PhD thesis on Om, and there is enormous amount of materials you find if you search on the internet also. Om, but the simple most interpretation which is given to us by the mother, the simplest and yet the most profound interpretation, she says Om is the signature of the Lord. Om is the signature of the Lord. So anything which has manifest here has the stamp of that divine. So when we chant Om, we must feel that presence, that divine, that divinity in everything being and happening. So that's the bhava we need to carry. And we have to remember Om is the signature of the Lord. So with this bhava, we will chant Om and then practice this. Together we can do Om. When you do Om, O element should be 60%, should be 40%. Not a mathematical calculation, but go by your feeling. Okay. We'll do it 2 more times. Om. Now I will say the mantra, one line, after me you can repeat, then we will do it all together once. Agne vratapate vratam charishyami. Tachakeyam tanme radhyatam. Idamahamanrutat satyamupaymi. Once again. Agne vratapate vratam charishyami. Tachakeyam tanme radhyatam. Idamahamanrutat satyamupaymi. Let's do it all together with Om, starting with Om and ending with Om. Agne vratapate vratam charishyami. Tachakeyam tanme radhyatam. Idamahamanrutat satyamupaymi. The next mantra, also from Yajurveda, which is an invocation to Agni, a prayer to Agni, saying that Agni, O Agni, Tvam Sujagrahi, be well awakened within me. This is our prayer. Agni Tvam Sujagrahi, Vayam Sumandishimahi, that when you awaken within us, Vayam Sumandishimahi, we become more delighted. The real Ananda comes with the awakening of Agni. So, if one doesn't have the Agni within, if one has not lit the fire within, is always dull, cannot experience the Ananda. So, he says, Agni Tvam Sujagrahi, Vayam Sumandishimahi. So, then we become delighted, we experience that Ananda. Agne Tvam Sujagrahi Vayam Sumandishimahi Rakshanu Aprayuchan. By being well awakened within us, you do protect us. Aprayuchan, without reservation, without hesitation, without shrinking. So, spontaneously you come forward to protect us. Be well awakened within us. That's how we are protected. Rakshanu aprayuchan prabudhe nah punaskridhi, and then prepare us for greater evolution, greater understanding, for greater enlightenment. Lead us in our evolutionary journey. So then we move forward, attaining to peaks after peaks, perfection after perfection, refining ourselves, growing from within. So, prabudhe na punaskridhi. So, that's how you make us, that's how you prepare us. So, then we can travel, we can grow, we can move towards that perfection and attain to that state of perfection. So, Agni Tvam Sujagrahi Vayam Suman Dishi Mahi रक्षाणो अप्रयुच्छन् प्रबुधे नः पुनस्कृधि. Once again, अग्ने त्वं सुजागृहि वयं सुमन्दिषीमहि रक्षाणो अप्रयुच्छन् प्रबुधे नः पुनस्कृधि. Okay. So line by line, first I say, then you can repeat. Agne tvam sujagrhi vayam sumandishimahi rakshano aprayucchan प्रबुधेन पुनस्कृधि. Once again, अग्ने त्वं सुजागृहि वयं सुमन्दिषीमहि रक्षाणो अप्रयुच्छन् प्रबुधेन पुनस्कृधि. Let's do with Om all together. अग्ने त्वं सुजागृहि वयं सुमन्दिषीमहि रक्षाणो अप्रयुच्छन् प्रबुधेन पुनस्कृधि. Once again. अग्ने त्वं सुजागृहि वयं सुमन्दिषीमहि रक्षाणो अप्रयुच्छन् प्रबुधेन पुनस्कृधि. So while you are in silence, so let me write the next mantra, then I'll explain and then we will do it. Yeah, I'll mail it. This mantra is also from Yajurveda, which is the last mantra of Shukla Yajurveda Ishopanishad. So it says Agni, so the prayer is to that Agni. As per the Vedic system of yoga, again that unity of consciousness, but that world is described as the Surya Savitri. So that effulgent world of sun. So to that Agni is the prayer, Agni Naya Supatha, lead us on that right path, that good path. For what? Raye, for that bliss, for that felicity, for that Ananda. Agni Naya Supatha Raye Asman, to us all. Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan. O Agni, you know all. Because you know all, you can lead. So Agni Naya Supatha Raye Asman Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan Yiyudhyasma Juhurana Menu. So by increasing, by invoking that growth of the flame within us for the awakening of Agni. So it is the Agni which fights against all our errors, all our misapplications, all our, all the battles that we fight, the battle between the forces of darkness and the light. So all the errors that we keep committing, all the misapplications that happens because of our narrowness of consciousness. So it says fight against those. Yayodhi asmat juhuran menu. So then all these things can be removed from our consciousness. Yayodhyasmat juhuran menu. And because you initiate this great work of leading us from this state of narrowness to that state of Bruhat, Bhuisthante Nama Uktim Vidhema. So we express our namas to you. And namas has a very different meaning in the Vedic context, and when you study in the light of Sri Aurobindo. So namas is not just to do namaskar in any form, but namas is a state of being plastic, completely plastic, no reservation, no shrinking. It's a complete openness of the consciousness towards the higher light. That is the state of namas. So with that openness, with that state of namas, we pray to you, O Agni. So lead us on the Supatha, on that good path which leads us to the attainment of, to that state of Ananda, Raye. So Raya, Vasu, these are the different words, Mayas, which are used in the Veda for Ananda. Amrita, Soma, these are the key words which are repeatedly used in the Veda for that highest state of Ananda. So this is the intent of the mantra. So repeat the words. Agne Naya Supatha Raye Asman Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan Yayodhyasmad Juhurana Menu Bhuishthamte Nama Uktim Vidhema. Once again. Agne Naya Supatha Raye Asman Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan Yayodhyasmat Juhurana Menu Bhuishthamte Nama Uktim Vidhema. Okay. So I'll do it line by line and then you can repeat. Agne Naya Supatha Raye Asman Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan ययोध्यस्मज्जुहुराणमेनो ययोध्यस्मज्जुहुराणमेनो भूयिष्ठान्ते नम उक्तिं विधेम अग्ने नयसुपथाराये अस्मान् विश्वानि देववयुनानि विद्वान् ययोध्यस्मज्जुहुराणमेनो भूयिष्ठान्ते नम उक्तिं विधेम We'll do it all together with Om. अग्ने नयसुपथाराये अस्मान् विश्वानि देववयुनानि विद्वान् ययोध्यस्मज्जुहुराणमेनो भूयिष्ठान्ते नम उक्तिं विधेम So that is what was for this session, and always, like you can end every session with Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The mother says that there is so much of chaos everywhere, inside and outside. We need enormous peace always, everywhere. So Shanti Shanti Shanti. And I'll show you the way of chanting Shanti, then you can repeat in the same way. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we can do it all together. Shanti Shanti Shanti. धन्यवाद.
Thank you, Sampadananda, for the wonderful session. Short but very wonderful.